You ever think about what it takes to break someone? Like, really break them? Because Leon Kennedy is one of the most tragic character transformations in gaming, and I don't think people fully appreciate just how psychologically destroyed this man is. In Resident Evil 2, Leon's a 21-year-old rookie cop showing up for his first day of work. He's cracking jokes, he's got hope in his eyes, he's genuinely excited to start his career and help people. Fast forward to RE4, RE6, and beyond, and he's a hollow shell. Dead eyes, emotionless, a stoic killing machine who barely resembles the kid he used to be. So what happened? What transformed someone from a goofy, optimistic kid into that? Today, we're breaking down the psychological destruction of Leon S. Kennedy. We're talking complex PTSD, survivor's guilt, moral injury, and complete identity fusion with his job. This is gonna get dark, because Leon's story is genuinely one of the most depressing character arcs in gaming. Let's get into it. Part 1. Raccoon City, the night that broke him. Alright, so let's start at the beginning, September 29th, 1998. Leon Kennedy's first day as a police officer in Raccoon City, and instead of learning the ropes, filing paperwork, getting shown around the station, he walks into hell. The entire city is overrun with zombies, his fellow officers dead or infected, civilians being torn apart in the streets. And this isn't some far-off war zone. This is supposed to be his hometown, his community, the people he swore to protect. Now, here's the thing about trauma. A single traumatic event can cause PTSD, but what Leon experienced wasn't a single event. It was hours upon hours of sustained, inescapable horror, fighting for his life, watching people die, being forced to kill infected civilians, including children, just to survive. That's not PTSD, that's complex PTSD. CPTSD happens when you're exposed to prolonged repeated trauma in situations where you can't escape. And Raccoon City is textbook CPTSD material. But here's what really destroys Leon psychologically. He was supposed to help these people. He's a cop. That's his job. That's his identity. And instead, on his very first day, he's running through the streets while thousands of people die around him, while kids die, while his fellow officers die. He couldn't save them. He couldn't protect them. And that failure, that's the original wound that never heals. And then to make it worse, the government nukes the entire city, erases it, covers it up. So not only did Leon fail to save anyone, but the world pretends it never even happened. There's no closure, no memorial, no acknowledgement of all those deaths. Just silence. That is absolutely psychologically devastating. Part 2. Survivor's Guilt. The Weight of Living. So Leon survives Raccoon City, and you think that's a good thing, right? He made it out alive. Except, he's the only one. Or one of the very few. Thousands of people died that night. Fellow cops who were supposed to be his colleagues, civilians he was supposed to protect, kids who never had a chance. And Leon? He lived. This creates what psychologists call survivor's guilt. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Why did I survive when they didn't? What makes my life more valuable than theirs? Do I even deserve to be alive? These aren't just philosophical questions. These are thoughts that eat away at you, that keep you up at night, that make you feel fundamentally wrong for still existing when so many others don't. And you can see how this shapes Leon's entire life going forward. He becomes obsessed with saving people, with protecting others. Every mission, every assignment, he's pushing himself to the absolute limit because he has to make up for Raccoon City. He has to prove that his survival meant something, that he deserves to be alive. This is why he throws himself into danger over and over, why he takes on impossible missions, why he can never say no when someone needs help. Because every person he saves is one small atonement for all the people he couldn't save that night. But here's the cruel part. It's never enough. Survivor's guilt doesn't work that way. You can save 100 people and it won't erase the guilt over the ones you lost. So Leon keeps pushing, keeps fighting, keeps trying to fill a void that can never actually be filled. And with each new mission, with each person he fails to save or almost loses, that guilt just compounds. It reinforces the cycle. See? You're still not good enough. You're still failing people. This is a psychological trap with no escape, and Leon's been caught in it for over 2 decades. Part 3. Moral Injury. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough. Moral injury. Moral injury happens when you're forced to violate your own ethical code, or when you witness deep injustice that goes against everything you believe in. And it can be just as damaging as PTSD, sometimes worse. Leon became a cop because he wanted to help people, to protect the innocent, to uphold justice. Those were his core values, his moral foundation. And then, Raccoon City happened, and he was forced to kill infected civilians just to survive. People who were victims, not criminals. People who deserved to be saved, not shot in the head. That violates everything he believed in. But he had no choice, it was kill or die. And it gets worse. After Raccoon City, the government basically blackmails him. Work for us or we'll go after Sherry. So Leon's forced into becoming a government agent, doing Black Ops missions, covering up bioweapon incidents, working for the same system that nuked Raccoon City and covered up the deaths of thousands. He's trapped. He can't say no. He can't walk away. He has to participate in a system he knows is corrupt, that uses him as a weapon, that lies to the public about the very real bioterror threats happening all over the world. This is moral injury at its core. Leon's forced to betray his own values just to survive. And there's no good option. He can't quit because then who protects people like Sherry or Ashley? But he can't keep going because every mission makes him more complicit in the system he hates. So what does he do? He shuts down emotionally. He becomes the stoic, emotionless operative we see in later games. Because if he lets himself feel the full weight of what he's being forced to do, it would destroy him. That transformation from the goofy kid in RE2 to the cold professional in RE4 and beyond, that's not character development. That's trauma response. That's dissociation. That's a man who had to kill his own emotions just to keep functioning. Part 4. Hypervigilance and emotional shutdown. Let's talk about what complex PTSD actually looks like day to day for someone like Leon. One of the core symptoms is hypervigilance. That's when your nervous system is permanently stuck in threat detection mode. You're always scanning for danger, always ready for an attack. You can never fully relax because your brain has learned that safety is an illusion. And Leon? He's been living in that state for over 20 years. Think about it. Raccoon City, the Las Plagas incident, fighting bows in countless missions, the events of RE6, he has never had a break. Never had time to decompress or heal. It's just been one nightmare after another. So his brain adapts. It stays in survival mode permanently. He's always alert, always ready, always expecting the worst. And you can see this in how he carries himself in later games. The dead eyes, the constant situational awareness, the lack of surprise when things go wrong. Normal people would be terrified in the situations Leon faces. But Leon, he's barely reacting. Not because he's brave, because his emotional responses have been blunted by chronic trauma exposure. This is called emotional numbing, and it's another hallmark of CPTSD. When you're exposed to horror constantly, your brain starts dampening your emotional responses as a defense mechanism. Otherwise, you'd be overwhelmed 24/7. So Leon stops feeling much of anything. The jokes disappear, the optimism dies, the personality that made him Leon in RE2. It gets buried under layers of trauma and psychological armor. What we're left with is a functional operative, someone who can complete missions, save people, get the job done. But as a person, as a human being with hopes and feelings and a life, he's hollow, he's gone. Part 5. Identity fusion. When the job becomes who you are. Here's something really depressing about Leon's character. By RE4 and beyond, he doesn't have a life outside of his work. No hobbies, no friends outside of work, no romantic relationships that actually go anywhere. No family that we see, no personal interests or goals beyond the next mission. Leon Kennedy has become Agent Leon Kennedy. The job isn't just what he does, it's who he is. Psychologists call this identity fusion or occupational identity. It happens a lot with first responders, military personnel, and people in high-stress careers. When your work is literally life or death and you're good at it, and it's the only thing that gives your life meaning, you start to fuse with that identity. And for someone like Leon, who's carrying massive survivor's guilt and moral injury, the job becomes the only thing that makes sense, the only thing that justifies his continued existence. I couldn't save Raccoon City, but I can save these people. I couldn't protect those kids, but I can protect Ashley. I failed before, but maybe this time I won't. The mission gives him purpose, gives him a reason to keep going. Without it, what is he? Just a guy who survived when he shouldn't have. Just another broken soldier with no place in the normal world. So he keeps taking assignments, keeps throwing himself into danger, because what else is there? This is occupational burnout at its most extreme. Leon's not just burned out, he's been cremated. There's nothing left of the person he could have been. The rookie cop with dreams and a future? That kid died in Raccoon City. What's left is just a weapon. The government points at bioterror threats. And the tragedy is, Leon probably knows this. He's self-aware enough to realize he's not okay. But he's also trapped. Because if he stops, if he walks away, then what was it all for? All that pain, all that sacrifice, all those people he couldn't save. So he keeps going, because stopping would mean confronting just how broken he really is. So there you have it. The psychological destruction of Leon S. Kennedy. He went from a goofy, optimistic rookie cop with his whole life ahead of him to an emotionally dead government weapon who exists only to complete the next mission. And it's not because he's a bad person or made wrong choices, it's because he was put through hell at age 21 and never got a chance to recover before being thrown into the next nightmare, and the next, and the next. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, survivor's guilt, moral injury, identity fusion with his job, complete emotional shutdown as a coping mechanism. This man is psychologically destroyed and the games don't even really acknowledge it. They just keep using him. And that's what makes Leon's character so tragic. He's still saving people, still doing good, still being the hero, but at what cost? He's lost himself. The kid he was, the person he could have been, that's all gone. Sacrificed on the altar of being humanity's shield against bioterror. Anyway, that's my analysis. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you see Leon the same way? And honestly, do you think there's any coming back from this level of psychological damage? Or is he just going to keep going until the missions finally get him? I'll catch you in the next one.